Hey, welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel if you're a regular viewer. Before I get started working on the taco, I just wanted to throw out a quick thank you to everybody that watches my content. I am absolutely floored and humbled by the amount of views that my videos get. So I do this for you, obviously, and I have fun making the videos too, and of course have fun doing things to the taco. So anyways, just wanted to throw that out before we get into the meat and potatoes of what today's video is about. So as we said in the title of the video, Tacoma fires happen. Yes, they do, but they also happen to literally anything we drive. My big Brutus out there, if you follow me on Instagram, you've seen that make a appearance once in a while. I have an F350 turbo diesel, and I had a high pressure oil line blow under load, and where did it shoot the oil? Straight at the turbocharger. Big fire real fast. So, but seeing as it's still here, obviously I was prepared. So what I want to talk to you about today is this little guy, Element fire extinguishers. Now you're going to go, oh, what's that stupid little thing going to do? And I've got my 5-pound mounted under my seat there, and I've seen, some other creators when they're showing their videos, you can see in their trucks, and there's always that big 5-pound fire extinguisher right under your feet. It's a nasty waste of space. And I know because I've been told that people bang their heels or ankles or your ankle bone right on the back of it when you're getting in. Did your pin fall out? You want to make sure your zip tie is still good. So, there's nothing wrong with that. You have a fire extinguisher, you're prepared. Kudos to you, because you know what? 98% of people don't have a fire extinguisher in their vehicle. You always think, well, what's the likelihood? Well, I'm here as living proof to tell you it happens. So I'm going to put a link. I'm not actually going to add to the length of this video with this, but I am going to put a link to these guys in the description. So just click on that link and you can go watch a great video on these. And I have proof that these work. I know these work. 50 full seconds. I think it even says right on the top, 50 full seconds of discharge. Now, if you have any experience with fire extinguishers, I come from the energy sector. And 30 years in the energy sector has taught me that even our big 30-pound ABC dry chemicals that we carry in our trucks, they don't last very long. They'll definitely put out a fire, but you know what? You will not get 50 seconds of steady discharge out of a big 30-pounder. So will this shoot 60 feet? No. But for an engine fire, a vehicle fire, anything, in your vehicle, around or under, absolutely 100% this will work. And 50 seconds is a huge duration. It doesn't sound like much, but when you figure that fire extinguisher under your seat, that 5-pound ABC is going to maybe last for 17 seconds at full deployment. Big difference. And here's the kicker. Here's my favorite thing about this. Not just that it'll put your fire out, but also that this isn't going to make a mess. This is like the old halons. If you have any experience with fire extinguishers, you know what halon is. You can't buy it, at least not in Canada anymore, non-commercially. It's used in aircraft jet engines to put out engine fires. Super great gas that puts out fires that doesn't make a mess. But when exposed to fire, and if you're in a confined space, well, it'll kill you. So that's why it's not really very popular, or not even legal to buy as a consumer anymore. This, on the other hand, is not like that. So anyways, what we're really going to do today is I've got a cool way for you to mount this. If you have seat jackers, that's the way I'm going to do it, because I do have seat jackers, and as you know, use my filthy, dirty floor mats because it's just ending winter here. But if you have seat jackers, you know that they have threaded holes in the front that you can use to mount stuff, and that's exactly what we're going to do today. We got the raw materials. I went with a 2.5-inch piece of 1/8 inch aluminum, nice and light, and I probably will paint this black, so I'll scuff it up and then obviously prime it and use black paint. As a matter of fact, from the last diesel engine that I built, I have some really nice black with a red pearl in it. Going to kind of match the red truck. Okay? So anyways, let's get started with this. And this is all there is to mounting these things. There's these little clips, and they have holes in, of course, so you can drill and mount these on there. And let me pop this out of the box. And well, as you can see, it's not very big around, so your finger fit around, give you an idea how big it is. So a little bigger than a quarter. What is that? Not quite a foot long. And this little clip just clips right onto there, and it's not going anywhere. Famous lad dad words, right? That's not going anywhere. So yeah, literally, I did buy, I got a couple extra clips, so I'm actually gonna mount it in 2 places like that, just to give it a little extra rigidity. Won't bang around where it's going. Boy, these are tight. I don't think it would anyway, but you know what? Just because that's the way I like to do things, I'm going to put 2 clips on this and mount it underneath the seat. So all right, while you guys go grab a drink or a snack, I'm obviously going to round these corners and get it all dressed up nice before I start measuring and drilling holes. And if you have a 3rd gen Tacoma, by the way, this needs to be 18 inches long, because that's the distance between the mounts on each side, and it'll just exactly fit your brackets, your seat jackers that you put in there, in case you're wondering on how long it needs to be. So no sense in watching me do this, but through the magic of YouTube, I'll be right back. All right, so spent a few minutes, rounded off the edges here, off here, and actually went down the full length on both sides and just took in the camera here, just took that sharp edge off. It'll be all the way around too, because you just don't really want to take meat off your ankles if you don't have to. Even though this is tucked in nice and tight, really tight where those seat jackers are, it'll also just look nicer too. It looks more finished, right, when you get your edges all rounded. So I'm gonna go give this a quick sand. Actually, you know what? First, I got ahead of myself. First, I'm gonna go and drill the holes, and I'm gonna have to mark them and mount this. And that's a pretty big spider. Didn't think they were out yet. Sorry, got distracted. Anyways, let's get the holes drilled in this and get this so it's fit and mounted for the truck. All right, I'm gonna show you a little trick that I use, and this is for getting your hole measurements right and something that you don't want to take apart. So just need a roll of masking tape and Jiffy marker, and I put the piece of tape across the seat jacker, and then where the holes are for the bolts, I just take and draw around with the Jiffy marker and mark these holes out, and then you just peel this out of here. And then once you figure out, like I did, I just held it in place where I want to put the first hole. They go side to side, obviously. So I'm going to do this with one hand. I'm going to redo it when I'm off camera, but just to give you the idea what I'm doing here. There. And there's your spacing on your holes. So now you know where to drill, and you won't get your... Because what you always say, measure twice, cut once. Well, in this case, obviously you're going to measure twice and draw hole marks and everything, and then drill once, because, well, if you drill the holes in the wrong place, it's either going to look like crap when you fix it, or you're going to buy another $18 piece of aluminum. So just going to double check my height up and down where I want it, and then I'm going to drill these holes on both sides. All right, so we used the punch awl and a hammer, of course, and then what I did was I punched my holes. But it's tough to get the tape on there exactly right? So what I use is a tape measure. Make sure that I am exactly the same distance from the punch, which I measured before I actually punched. As you can see, bang on. And the spacing is obviously right because we use that piece of tape to measure the spacing. So let's drill these out. Also, before I get a little ahead of myself again, I didn't explain what bolts you need. So those holes are 3/8 inch. So I'm going to use 3/8 by 3/4 because our plate's nice and thin. And even though it's a metric truck, these jackers being built in the US, that's going to do the trick there. And you know what? We're going to use a little bit of Loctite. And the reason that I'm going to use a little bit of the blue removable Loctite is because, I ran into my antenna, is because I don't want washers and lock washers making this all ugly. Don't get me wrong, I will use a flat washer just because it dresses it nice and gives the bolt something to spin on without carving into the aluminum, which is quite soft, right? So, but that way we don't have the ugly lock washer and everything on there, and it definitely won't come loose. So even though aluminum's nice and soft, I still did like a 3/16 pilot hole before I step up to 3/8, and I like using my cobalt bits because, well, they just cut through anything like butter. All right, I'm not a big fan of going bigger than you need to, Yep, so they just fit nice, no slop. Perfect. So let's do the other side, get it in the truck and fit it. Okay, we've got all our holes drilled and everything, so let's take these bolts and washers, bolt it in the truck, and figure out where we want to mount the fire extinguisher. All right, now that I have the plate loose fit in here, you can see I drew on where the brackets are going to be. I just put them on the fire extinguisher itself, and basically just going to set these in the marks that I made. And because the brackets are still on the extinguisher, I'll have no problem just marking the holes with it right on the plate. So I wanted to keep it in a little bit, not too close to the outside edge, and up off the floor as much as I can, and that way it'll stay out of the snowy wet weather that we get up here in Canada. And just like that, boom, it's mounted. See, we have all four in right on the plate where I wanted it. I used machine screws and nuts, and of course I'm actually gonna paint them black too, just so they don't stand out so much. And yeah, so now all I got to do is just take that back apart again, throw some sand on there, some primer, paint it nice, let it dry, and mount it in the truck. And then again, through the magic of YouTube, it's going to be a couple hours for me until it dries, but just a few seconds for you to see the finished product, see what you think. Okay, all done. Couple things I'm going to add some full disclosure here. So the carpet on the floor kind of bulges out a little bit in the middle, and kind of as like a step down where it goes down to the floor from under the seat. And I found that it was kind of soft and pliable. It wasn't, a hard steel corner there. So I thought, well, that's not going to matter. Well, actually it did matter. So we'll look in a second and I'll explain to you what I had to do. All right. My dirty floor truck. So there it is, all mounted up. So what I did do is I had to actually shim the backside, and I used 2 flat washers, and I didn't have the red paint or black paint that I thought. So these are shiny, and now everything I did, I only had flat black. So if I get annoyed enough, I'll just pull it back out and redo it. But anyway, you can see right under the middle here on the floor is where the seat kind of floor steps down to here. So it does actually move a little bit, but because of the length of this and the fact that it's not like thick, say steel that would just push it in, what I have to do was, like I say, all 4 back there too, I shimmed those out, so it actually stopped that from happening, and now the plate is straight, and there it is mounted. So now you look at that compared to a big 5-pound fire extinguisher. When you get in, you're nowhere near, so you can see you don't hit your feet, you don't have a big gaudy thing there, and literally all you do is just grab it and it pulls right off, and it takes a fair pull. It's not going to fall off where you're driving, I guarantee that. So there it is, all mounted. Looks nice though. I wanted to use a thinner plate that I could have cut this, and then brought it up where these are. Tons and tons of work, I think, for nothing. Whatever your preference is, you do you. But for me, that works just great. Quick grab, and your fire extinguisher's right there. Alrighty, so there we are. Got one more here because, of course, I'm going to put one in my wife's new RAV. There's no fire extinguisher in there yet, and I like to have one. And I actually have one of these also, and I actually have 2 of these in my F350 diesel, just since that turbo fire. Paranoid. But, I would have lost my truck, and now I didn't lose my truck. So, not clickbait at the beginning, Tacoma fire. Well, they happen. Anybody. So anyhow, hopefully that was helpful. Not gonna lie, they're a little on the pricey side, but it's peace of mind that you can go to Harbor Freight and buy your $19 one if your investment is worth a $19 fire extinguisher, but that's up to you. For me, no. I'm an old oil field guy, and I'm not a firefighter, but I've had firefighter training. and I've been in a couple of unpleasant circumstances of fire in the oil field, so I have a pretty good idea what fire extinguishers are all about and how to fight fires. And my buddy is actually a firefighter, so he approves of these, so that was good enough for me. When I actually found them from another friend of mine that has one in his Jeep, I thought, well, it looks kind of sketchy. It's pretty small. How can that put out a fire? Absolutely impressive. Please take the opportunity to watch that video, and trust me when I tell you, I've actually seen this thing in action. I know what it can do, and such a space saver. You know, you could pop one of those under your vehicle. You can throw one in your tent if you have your rooftop tent, or in your trailer, whatever, your camper. So, and they're also good in the house. You can put out a grease fire. So anyways, enough of my blabbing. There you go. That was my project for today, and I think it looks pretty good. I'm very happy with the results, and hopefully you enjoyed the video. So have a great day. Talk to you next time.